Hey there, friends, family, mom, dad, brothers, whoever else wants to listen. So of late, I'd say maybe a good few years, but very much so lately, I've got to thinking, what is church? When people say, did you go to church today? Or did you go to church on Sunday? I started pondering that word, did you go to church? So I thought, is that really the right word to be using? And so I thought I'd go back to the word and see what it is that church is supposed to be. So let's read in Acts 2:42. So they devoted themselves, these are people that had accepted Jesus as the Messiah. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and miraculous signs were done by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to anyone that had a need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all people. And the Lord added to their number daily those that were being saved. Now, in my purple book that I did years ago, my discipleship book that I did years ago, it speaks about the early church. And I thought, why has it changed so much? Why, at least in the Western world, because I know it's not this way in third world or developing countries, poor countries, communist countries where Christian faith is banned. Why have we here in the West, the comfortable West, made church an exact place, a building that looks a certain way, that has a prescribed way of doing things, a start time, an end time. This has got to be in the beginning, that's got to be at the end. How did it get to be like that? And then everybody rushes off afterwards to their own village or town or family and does their own thing. Nobody really fellowships anymore per se. Now, one might argue that the Wednesday night supper is a type of fellowship. Not that I can see. We eat together, but very briefly, and usually once again in your own little pods with your own family members. And then we listen to the preacher preach and pray for 40 minutes. Where is the fellowship time? Where is the time where we read psalms and sing a song and bring a word of encouragement or prophecy and test that prophecy with one another? Where is that time? Or do we need to schedule a separate time? On XYZ date, get in your car once again, and come and drive here so we can do, force this prescribed way of doing fellowship. I wonder, would the Lord bring us to a place where we weren't so comfortable anymore, and it's not so prescribed anymore, and He can meet us where we are, and we can exist in community congregations that live life together a little bit more, instead of just meeting twice a week in a building. Taking it a step further, maybe we should stop paying our tithes and offerings for the upkeep of the church building and the maintenance of the fancy grounds and the fountain out front and the sign and the air conditioning and the $10,000 pastor salary or $20,000, whatever it is in whichever city you live in. In what world is that okay? Why don't we take that money instead and give it to people who really, really need it? Why don't we give it to the Tim Tebow Foundation, who does their red carpet events all across this world for people in society who are maligned and forgotten and put aside and set aside, those who are poor in spirit, those with special needs, those with chronic illness, those who have been sexually trafficked and abused. Why don't we give our tithe and offering to something like that? Or let's take book a bus and go to the local prison and spend the day just hanging out there, or I don't know, teaching cooking classes or giving away musical instruments or something crazy like that. Why don't we do that instead? Or we could give it to Operation Underground Railroad. It's a private organization that is not government funded, that basically it's like guerrilla warfare against people who buy and sell children to be abused and used for the pornographic industry. They use their own time, their own funds, their own resources. Let's donate to someone like that, an organization like that, that's on the forefront of saving the orphan and the abused and the weak, the ones that cannot save themselves. How about we send some money to an organization like oneforisrael.org, who spreads the good news of Jesus as the Messiah by Messianic Jewish people in Israel, and goes to the front lines of where the IDF are fighting this horrendous war against the world. It seems like everybody seems to be against them, but we as Christians are called to pray for Israel, to pray for Zion, to pray for Jerusalem, and those that love them, my people, the apple of my eye, I will bless them and love them in turn, the Lord says. Then the church won't need to do special, donations and giving events for this thing and that thing. No, the Lord will open up the floodgates of heaven and he'll just give you the money. You don't even have to ask, because he's rich. He got all the money. He's got it all. But his eye is scanning to and forth to see who is doing what he wants them to do, what is on his heart. I will assure you, it is not new fancy buildings, stained glass windows, fancy shutters, plethora of decorations to make everybody feel warm and fuzzy at Easter and Christmas. Increasing the pastor's salary several times in a few years. Fancy trees and landscaping outside. No, that's not what his heart is after. His heart is after the poor, the weak, little children being trafficked, those who are in prison, widows. And even though he doesn't say it, dare I say, perhaps a single mom, single mother, single parents, the invisible ones in church. Invisible. So what is church?